On the morning of June 3, 2025, a teenage boy's body was pulled from Lady Bird Lake. He had vanished 2 days earlier during a paddleboarding trip with family. Police found no signs of foul play and called it a tragic accident. But in Austin, deaths in this lake are never just a footnote. In recent years, lots of bodies, some claim more than 3 dozen, have been found dead in Lady Bird Lake. Most of them are young men. And the more often it happened, the harder it became for the public to accept each case as just bad luck. In 2022 alone, 6 bodies were recovered from the lake. Most were men in their 20s and 30s, many last seen out drinking downtown. Several were described as having darker features, and all were found under eerily similar circumstances, missing after a night out, then discovered days later in the water. Police ruled out foul play in every case, but the sheer number and the similarities made that explanation harder to believe. Then came the spring of 2023. 4 more men were found in the lake in just 8 weeks. Each one had spent the night on Rainy Street. Each one vanished without a trace. And each one turned up dead in the same body of water. That's when the whispers started. Was someone stalking Austin's nightlife? Was there a pattern being ignored? Some locals gave the idea a name: the Rainy Street Ripper. Police said no and called it a coincidence, but by mid-2023, the city wasn't so sure. People started to look at Lady Bird Lake differently, as if something or someone was hiding just beneath the surface. Accident or an active killer, competing narratives. From the start, Austin police have denied any serial killer is involved. As bodies began surfacing in 2023, the department repeatedly stated there was no evidence of foul play. In April, even after the 4th death that year, they maintained the same stance. The cases were tragic, but not unusual. According to police, the victims varied in background, and no signs of assault, robbery, or trauma were found. Their working theory was simple but grim. Too much alcohol, poor visibility, and an unsafe shoreline. Alcohol and easy access to the lake were common factors, they explained. Most deaths happened late at night, when park trails were closed and lighting was minimal. The idea is that people left bars, wandered too close to the edge, and fell in without anyone noticing. City officials admitted Lady Bird Lake could be dangerous, especially for someone intoxicated. Swimming has long been banned, and currents in the reservoir can be stronger than they appear. Until mid-2024, much of the lakefront near Rainy Street had no fencing, poor lighting, and little signage. After public outcry, the city added lights, barriers, and clearer paths to improve safety. Still, many families didn't buy the drunk accident explanation. The number of deaths and how closely they mirrored each other raised red flags. That lake and those bars have been there for years, said retired detective Kevin Gannon. Why did these deaths all happen around the same time? One of the first deaths to raise public suspicion was that of Jason John, a 30-year-old man who disappeared after a night out in February 2023. His body was found in Lady Bird Lake days later, and the police called it an accidental drowning. But his mother, Elsie John, wasn't convinced. Jason lived near the trail and knew the area well. He knew it like the back of his hand, she said. With no witnesses, no cameras, and no real clues, she fears the truth will never be known. The official cause may be listed as accidental, but for Elsie, the question still lingers. What really happened to our son? Other families feel the same. Mitchell Gutierrez has long questioned how his brother Martin drowned in 2018. The autopsy listed alcohol and drowning, but it also mentioned a head injury. Mitchell gave police surveillance footage showing Martin acting strangely, stumbling and frolicking near the water, which he says was completely out of character. Was he drugged? Was he chased? Mitchell asked. They never looked into it properly. For families like theirs, each new drowning feels like proof that something's being missed. By spring 2023, public pressure was growing, but police held firm, calling the deaths tragic but not unusual. That frustrated victims' loved ones. To them, it's just a number, just a body, said Ms. John. She and others urged police to seriously consider other possibilities. Do you want to be an ordinary police chief, she asked, or one who makes a difference? Echoes of other mysteries, roofies, rumors, and the smiley face theory. With few clear answers, theories have filled the gap. Around Austin, the Lady Bird Lake deaths have taken on the feel of an urban legend, whispered in bars and shared online. Social media forums and Reddit threads are full of speculation, some grounded, others far-fetched. One of the most discussed theories is that someone may be drugging victims at Rainy Street bars, then guiding them toward the lake. Reports of spiked drinks in Austin's nightlife scene aren't new, but linking them to the drownings is. Investigative blogger Jamie Hammond says he's heard multiple stories about drinks being tampered with and finds the number of similar deaths hard to believe as coincidence. The idea is especially chilling because some drugs, like GHB, can leave the system within hours and may go undetected by autopsies if the body isn't found quickly. Austin police say they haven't found evidence of drugging, but skeptics argue that doesn't mean it didn't happen. This theory has even drawn comparisons to the infamous smiley face killer case, a controversial theory from the Midwest where dozens of young men were found drowned after nights out. In some cities, smiley face graffiti was reportedly found nearby, and 2 retired NYPD detectives suggested the deaths were linked. The theory was never proven, but it struck a chord with the public, and now some believe Austin may be part of that same pattern. In April 2023, a plastic bag with a smiley face was found near where one of the victims, John Hayes Clark, was discovered. Police said it was likely unrelated, but it was enough to get people talking. Even Kevin Gannon, one of the original smiley face theorists, said the Lady Bird Lake death seemed not consistent with ordinary accidental drownings. Other online theories go further. Some have speculated that the so-called Rainy Street Ripper could be a woman, since all the known victims have been men. It's rare for female serial killers to target strangers, but the internet has latched onto the idea that someone may be using charm to disarm victims late at night. There's no evidence for this theory, only speculation. Reddit users have mapped out body locations, searching for patterns. Some believe the killer might use the lake to cover up attacks that happen elsewhere. Others think it could be a group, or even multiple unrelated killers drawn to the area's growing reputation. Occult theories have even surfaced, though none have any factual backing. So far, no one has been caught, no toxicology tests have confirmed drugging, and no surveillance footage shows anyone being pushed into the water. The serial killer theory remains just that, a theory. But to many, the number of similar deaths in the same area over a short time feels too strange to ignore. The social media storm and grassroots sleuths. The void of official answers has been filled by a surge of citizen sleuthing and social media frenzy. In February 2023, as the tragic count began to rise, an Arkansas woman named Carissa Morgan created a Facebook group titled Lady Bird Lake Serial Killer, Rainy Street Killer. What started as a small community of concerned Austinites quickly exploded into an international phenomenon. Within just a few months, the group swelled to over 84,000 members. Today it has ballooned past 90,000. Inside this digital forum, people from all over the world gathered to pore over news clippings, float theories, and share personal anecdotes. Early posts in the group showed Austin residents hungry for answers, scared and increasingly suspicious of police assurances. Every new tidbit, a rumored sighting, an unconfirmed detail from a 911 call, was dissected and discussed. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube soon followed, with true crime content creators seizing on the story. A local TikToker went viral by claiming to have a long-awaited description of the supposed killer, sending rumor mills into overdrive. though notably, no such suspect description was ever confirmed by police. The hashtag Lake Austin serial killer trended on Twitter and TikTok, turning the tragedy into a kind of crowdsourced investigation. This outpouring of armchair detective work is part of a larger trend. Thus is born this new age of internet sleuth, observed Kate Winkler Dawson, a University of Texas professor and crime historian. She notes that an entire industry of crime influencers has emerged. Everyday people with social media platforms who believe they can solve cases from their laptops. In Austin's case, these untrained sleuths often operate on incomplete information, yet their theories echo and amplify each other in online echo chambers. The people feed off of each other, Dawson says, describing how one gruesome hypothesis can spawn dozens more. While she admits the cluster of deaths is startling, Dawson leans toward a simpler explanation. Young men, intoxicated and prone to wandering off alone, are unfortunately accident-prone in late-night settings. People find these stories intriguing and love to solve a puzzle, she says. I wish a lot of them would just stick to Sudoku. Her wry comment underscores the skepticism many experts have toward the feverish serial killer theories. It's a gentle reminder that sometimes tragedy doesn't require an evil mastermind. Sometimes it's just tragedy. But in Austin, trust in law enforcement's version of events was already frayed. By 2023, the public's faith in police was at a historic low nationwide, and Austin was no exception. High-profile local cases, like Austin's infamous unsolved yogurt shop murders from the 1990s, which many feel APD botched, left a legacy of doubt. The backdrop of the post-2020 era, including the George Floyd protests and widely reported instances of police misconduct, only deepened skepticism toward official narratives. So when APD repeatedly told Austinites there's no killer here, just unfortunate accidents, a lot of people just weren't buying it. Into that trust gap stepped figures like Colin Brown, a former Austinite and true crime podcaster who became a leading voice calling for a deeper probe. Brown launched an online petition in mid-2024 titled "Acknowledge that the Austin drownings may not be accidents," which quickly gathered thousands of signatures. In a scathing open letter accompanying the petition, he accused the police of willful denial. Over 20 bodies have been pulled from Lady Bird Lake, the petition stated, and not a single one of these accidents has been thoroughly investigated as more than that, an accident. Brown wrote that he had spoken to multiple victims' families who believed their loved ones were targeted and murdered, possibly drugged and then harmed, and that APD refuses to acknowledge even the possibility of a killer. The petition text bristles with examples of what skeptics see as investigative failures. Inconsistent autopsy reports, misleading toxicology reports, unexplained injuries, unexplained routes of victim travel, leads that were never properly investigated. It calls the string of deaths an extreme miscarriage of justice and boldly declares the circumstances surrounding these deaths are too similar to be purely coincidental. There is something larger, something darker at play in Austin, Texas. These are strong words, effectively accusing the city of ignoring a predator, and they struck a chord with a frightened public. Many Austin residents scrolling through Facebook or TikTok late at night found themselves nodding along and thinking, what if it's true? City officials and police have been put on the defensive by this public pressure. In April 2023, Christopher Pugh, the father of a young man who narrowly survived a mysterious encounter by Lady Bird Lake, spoke at a city council meeting and galvanized attention. There are too many people that have gone missing, Pugh told the council. Too many people that have been injured. And we still have absolutely no answers as to what has happened to any of those folks. Pugh's own son, Christian, was 21 in 2019 when he went drinking on Rainy Street and then vanished. A search team found Christian alive, barely, in the brush along the lake shore days later. In very rough condition, and with serious injuries including a head wound and bruises that suggested a struggle. Christian had apparently been attacked and left for dead yet somehow survived. His case was initially written off by police as an accident or misadventure, much to his family's frustration. To many Austinites, the Christian Pew incident is a chilling red flag. If not for the grace of fate, he too might have ended up a drowning victim in the lake, another statistic attributed to accidental causes. His survival and testimony, however fragmented his memory of that night might be, suggest that at least one violent perpetrator was stalking people near Rainey Street. Pew's emotional plea before the city council, imploring authorities to dig deeper and keep people safe, resonated with everyone who had been following the Lady Bird Lake mystery. A mystery that lingers in the night. By late 2023, something strange happened. The drowning stopped. After months of tragic headlines, Lady Bird Lake went quiet. For a time, the city exhaled. Theories slowed. Even the Facebook group grew quiet. Some hoped the worst was over. But in early 2024, the calm broke. A woman's body was found in February, an unusual case given nearly all past victims were men. Police said there was no sign of foul play, but the news reignited public concern. In the months that followed, a few more bodies appeared near the lake. Again, no signs of homicide, but the pattern was hard to ignore. Was it coincidence, or had something or someone returned? As of now, police maintain that there is no serial killer in Austin. No suspect has been identified. No confirmed evidence of murder. No weapons, no surveillance footage, no forensics has emerged. The official theory remains the same: intoxication, poor visibility, and a dangerous waterfront. Many experts agree. Professor Kate Winkler-Dawson calls the deaths tragic but likely accidental. Men are more likely to wander off after drinking, she noted, and accidents can happen. Still, doubts linger. What if someone used the lake to cover their tracks, turning murder into misfortune? Former police spokesperson Dimitri Hobbs admitted the thought had crossed his mind. Why so many in the same place? It is a mystery, he said. While he leans toward accidents, even he acknowledged that's how serial killers work. They stop, then they start again. The water holds its secrets. Today, Rainey Street is as busy as ever, but now the trail by the lake has new lights, fences, and warning signs. Friends stick closer after last call. People are a little more alert. The fear may have faded, but not the questions. For families like the Johns and survivors like Christian Pew, the mystery remains deeply personal. Every day we ask ourselves what happened, said Elsie John, mother of Jason. And we have to live the rest of our lives with this pain. Stand by Lady Bird Lake at night, and it's easy to see why the story sticks. The water is calm, the city lights shimmer, and yet something about it feels off. Maybe it's just the chill of a dark lake. Probably. But in a city that's seen too many bodies pulled from these waters, it's hard not to wonder. Was it all just chance, or something much darker? For now, Austin has no answer. Only silence, and the ripple of a mystery that refuses to go away.